Alright, I said I'd do it now that Lisbon is over. I want to take a closer look at G2 for a second. We're now 3 months into the year, we've seen G2 at several Tier 1 events, and honestly, the results have been nothing but middling. And the future, I think, is nothing if not uncertain to getting worse with every passing day. With the recent leaked rumors about Shuhei going to Team Liquid, I think we are now at a tipping point with G2, and I don't know if this roster will ever be able to recover, not just in time for the Austin Major, but at all to begin with. This is not just going to be me taking shots at snacks for 8 to 10 minutes, as much as I'd like to do that. No, we're going to try and take a very neutral look at how G2 have fared this year, and why I think this is the beginning of the end of this roster as we know it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is LionHeartZ. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like this type of content, make sure you take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This helps out immensely the YouTube algorithm, as well as helping me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And before we get started, I would like to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip. Nice. You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Alright, so first things first, yesterday was my birthday. I turned 26. I spent the entire day live streaming over on my Twitch channel, and I had a great time. It was nice to have some time off and kind of reflect, as it feels like this is the first extended gap between tournaments we've had since the beginning of the year. Bucharest is on the horizon in the next few days, and with this recent HLTV report concerning Shuhei, it feels like the right time to sit and take a look at G2. Firstly, let's take a look at the results. They have attended 4 events so far within the year. They played at the Blast Bounty in the beginning of the year, Katowice right after. They skipped out on Cluj-Napoca, they then went to Pro League, and most recently, as we already covered, at the Blast Open Lisbon. In those events, honestly, the results have not been that bad. They only failed to make top 8 in one single event, and that was at Katowice. Other than that, they made top 4 at the Blast Bounty, they made top 8 at Pro League, and then most recently they went top 6, making the playoffs at Lisbon. Lisbon, of course, having a more limited format. There were only 6 playoff spots up for grab to begin with, so effectively it's the same as a top 8 at Pro League, for example. So even though we're coming into this with me being a massively biased hater of everything about this team, these results are by no means bad. Making playoffs consistently is a lot better than a lot of other teams. You know, things could always be worse. I may be taking shots at you, the G2 fanbase today, but remember, FaZe is my favorite team. So, you know, there's a little bit of suffering for everybody, unless you're a Vitality, Mouse, or Spirit fan, alright? We're all in the same boat. But I do think when you look a little closer, these results kind of belie the underlying rot at the core of this team, and once you look at their results in terms of individual matches, I think it becomes abundantly clear. In this 3-month time frame, G2 have played 43 maps at LAN. They won 24-19 within those games, so a winning record, hard to complain about that. But in terms of the quality of competition, they've only beaten top 10 opponents twice. They beat the Mongols at Lisbon, then way back at the beginning of the year, they beat Falcons in a best of 3 at Katowice. Now in terms of this Falcons win, I'm not really going to question this much at all. It was a full 3-game set, they beat them straight up. Even though I want to just downplay everything here, I cannot in good faith put an asterisk on this win. However, everyone will put an asterisk on their win against the Mongols at Lisbon because we all agree that the Mongols fucking threw. They demonstrably threw that game. So outside of those two, G2 have not beaten top 10 or top 5 competition at all this year. So how have they been making these playoff runs? Well, it's honestly just coming down to luck of the draw in the bracket. They are losing against top 10 competition and then making it back through the lowers, which, fine, making it through the lowers is still difficult, but they have massively benefited from beating up on teams that are demonstrably worse than them. So to me, G2 are very much a stagnating team. They maintain their top 10 status, mostly due to the fact that the teams below them in the 15 to 20 range are not good enough to consistently attend and then beat the better teams to accrue those VRS points. G2 are sort of able to coast on the fact that while they're not going to beat the teams above them, they are for sure, at least, hopefully, stay alive long enough in the tournament to not bomb out in near last place and keep accruing some positive momentum throughout the major cycle. Unfortunately, I don't see that changing anytime soon because moving around the personnel on this team will be incredibly difficult without addressing the core issue, and that is leadership. Obviously, I don't need to restate this. I don't like Snacks, but even on just an objective level, this team is underdeveloped and underperforming its strats. Not to reiterate my past Snacks rants here, let's take a look at a practical example, because the Eternal Fire Twitter account put out this clip after their win against G2 at Lisbon, where Major and their coach had G2's pistol round strats on Inferno read to the fucking point that Major gave Woxic the entire script in the timeout downtime. If you see nothing in mid on T-slope and then you spot someone in alt mid and they go into underpass, they are going B every single time, and what do you know, they immediately rotated to stack B as G2 executed a quick B pistol round rush. G2 are recycling so often the same strats map to map that it just takes a cursory understanding of demoing, pre-planning, and scouting to game plan against their T sides, which is the mark of an underbaked and underdelivered IGLing coaching strategy. Jesus Christ, words. The strat book is empty, is what I'm trying to say, for fuck's sake. So while Snacks literally does the bare minimum in terms of killing a handful of people every game, and I have to admit, based on the stats, he is a good 1v1 clutch player still. I can't take that away, the numbers back it up. He brings absolutely nothing to the table in terms of innovating and setting up his star players. And you have to realize in the context of this team, he's dealing with Heavygon and Malbs, who are brand new tier 1 pros. He is not fostering the environment for them to thrive and succeed. You add on top of it the fact that Hunter is apparently calling the majority of their CT side setups, you have to ask yourself at a certain point, why is he still there? And I think the big issue we are now looking into is that G2 either don't care enough to invest more in this team, or know that it doesn't matter, so they're choosing to ride things out now, knowing that there's only down for this team to go from here. Because with Shuhei now supposedly being off the market, there is no immediate move that helps propel G2 from an also-ran 8-9th in the world to a title contender, which is where they should be based on the talent present in this team. Shuhei, maybe he would not have succeeded, however, I believe in his efficacy as a leader far more than Snacks, so it seems unreal to me that we heard no noise, no news, not even a hint that G2 would be pursuing this roster move. Which now leads us to the Abyss. We know that m0NESY's contract is ending towards the end of this year. It is my belief that G2 do not want to re-sign him and will allow him to walk away in free agency or shop him out ahead of time, maybe after the Austin Major. Once that happens, I think we are at the end of the G2 era as a top 10 team in the world. They have managed to field title contenders despite all odds for the last few years with the help of Nico and m0NESY. With both those pieces gone, I do think the G2 are going to downsize. I don't believe they are going to rebuild around Malbs and Heavygod, at least not to the extent that you would expect of a team that wants to win championships, and they will not do enough to keep their once-in-a-generation talent, one of the most talented players of all time, in m0NESY. I think the weirdest part about this is that G2 will continue to not be bad. I feel like it's impossible to be truly, bad, as in, fall out of the top 10 bad, when you have players that are of this caliber, right? Making the playoffs with the current state of the top 10, I think is totally reasonable. Every event G2 goes to, they will always have this puncher's chance, because if Malbs, Heavygod, and m0NESY can pop off in a series, that's enough firepower to do pretty much anything. But to me, that makes it all the more worse that this organization has continued to sit on its hands. Because Snacks isn't just now becoming a problem. It was already a problem when he came into the team. When Hooksy walked out, we all agreed that it was his time to walk away. He had run his course on the roster, it was time to look somewhere else. And when Snacks came in, to be fair, I even was more positive about it than I thought I would be. I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt and see how it would play out. And the results with Nico still here were in no way terrible. They won events. They had moments where they looked good. But now it's been long enough that it's clear there's no getting better. Things aren't going to suddenly spring forward anymore. And it feels like the reason G2 continued to lose this prodigious talent, from Nico to eventually m0NESY, is that they are apathetic and non-proactive. They are not taking action to make the roster actively better. When things were getting really bad back in the beginning of 2024, what did they do? They brought back Nexa and Hunter, players who were already in G2 previously. They went with the safest possible option. When HooXi and Nexa leave, they get a little creative. They bring in Malbs on a flyer. He turns out to be a fantastic signing. Full credit there. Who they bring in for HooXi though? They wait till the end of the deadline. They can't find someone they really want, or they're not able to pay for someone better. What do? They go with Snax because he's available, and more importantly, he's the close teammate and friend of your coach. So when I continue to see people getting on me for these Snax takes in my recaps, like in my comments or on Twitter, I just have to ask you guys, and this is like a very much me reaching out to you moment. If you like Snax, if you like this G2, are you honestly satisfied with this product? Because to me, watching the games, I don't see how that can be the case. And it's fair to criticize players like Hunter, Heavy God, Malbs, because they've all struggled in their own ways, but Snax was like the most obvious problem before the season even started. So I'm being serious. What about this ever screamed that it was going to be successful? Please let me know in the comments down below, because as far as I'm concerned, 2025 will be the last year that G2 is a serious force in Counter-Strike. Make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, so thank you for doing it. Thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. If you check the top link in the description, you decide to make a trade using my promo code on their website. It lets them know I sent you their way. Thank you to SkinsMonkey. Thank you to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vander Vate, I'm Flashbang, Snowme White, Rowdy, and our newest 2 channel members, Vergil'sPlasticChair and SidPro12. If you want to become a channel member and support me directly, you can do so in the description down below for $5 a month. You get your name at the end of videos just like this, as well as a custom role in our community Discord. Thank you to our channel members. Come watch me stream Elden Ring and lose my fucking mind live tonight at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also play Counter-Strike, duh. I'll see you guys there. You guys have a great day. Bye.